This video is the first in a series that deals with the prophecies of Revelation 13. It identifies the beast out of the sea and provides a basis for why the mark of the beast will be enforced.
Revelation 13.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of Blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
Before we begin, we need to define the prophetic parameters used in this discourse. Firstly, the sea or waters is a symbol of peoples, and multitudes, and nations and tongues. Revelation 17 verse 15. Secondly, a beast is the Bible symbol for an unrighteous kingdom, nation or power, Daniel 7 verses 2-8, and verses 17 and 18. The symbol is sometimes used to refer to civil authority or an ecclesiastical body in connection with civil authority, as seen in this chapter. Furthermore, whenever the beast comes out of the sea, it denotes a power that arises in heavily populated territory. Thirdly, winds blowing up on the sea denote political commotion, revolution, civil strife, Daniel chapter 7, verses 2, 3 and onwards. Fourthly, when dealing with time prophecies, a prophetic day is a literal year. This principle is outlined in Numbers 24 verse 34 and Ezekiel 4 verse 6. The Lord told Ezekiel, I have appointed thee each day for a year. Lastly, we don't read scripture in a vacuum. In order to get the context of the text, to see the text's relation to Christ, precept must be on precept, line must be on line, here a little and there a little, Isaiah 28 verse 10. Revelation 13 verse 1, in vision, on the beach, John saw an amalgamated beast come out of the sea. It comes from the sea, a populated territory. He focuses on the head of the beast, it has 7 heads, 10 horns, a crown on each horn, that is, 10 crowns. Blasphemy, blasphemy are in the Greek, slanderous and evil speaking against God, blasphemy is written on the heads. Verse 2, the beast is an amalgam. It looks like a leopard, it had paws of a bear and a lion's mouth. The devil empowers the beast, the unrighteous nation. The combination of the beasts gives insight into the meaning of the 7 heads. Recall, Daniel 7, the lion represented Babylon. The bear hunched on one side represents Medo-Persia, with Cyrus the Persian being stronger than Astyages the Mede. The leopard was Greece. Herein, this beast is a combination of all of these 3 previous kingdoms. Thus, the 7 heads are, Babylon, 1, Medo-Persia, 2, Gracia, 3, Rome Imperial, 4, Rome Kingly and Pagan, 5, Rome Papal, 6. And Rome Protestant, or 2-horned beast, 7, which we will discuss in the next video. Revelation 17 verse 10, the angel said to John, there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, that is, in the past, 1 is present, the 6th, papal Rome, and the other, the 7th, is not yet come, but is coming up, the unlikely yoke of Rome with Protestants. The 10 horns of the beast of Revelation 13 are unmistakably the 10 divisions of Western Rome, namely, Olimoni which is Germany, Visigoths which is Spain, Franks or France, Anglo-Saxons or England, Burgundians or Switzerland, Suevi or Portugal, the Lombards which is Italy, the Heruli who were exterminated, Lombards, Anastasius I, circa 508 AD, the Vandals who were exterminated by Emperor Justinian I, circa 534 AD, and the Ostrogoths, exterminated circa 554 AD, by Justinian I. Revelation 12 verse 5. The prophecy here undoubtedly refers to Christ. The usage of the word man-child is an obvious reference to when Christ became incarnate, as a babe in Bethlehem, and no one but Christ is caught up to share the Father's throne. Pagan Rome was in power when Christ was born. Herod's fiendish attempt to kill Christ by killing all the babes is the obvious reference made here, when, in verse 4, the dragon tries to kill the child as it was born. Herod was a vassal king, a Roman governor. Herod derived his power from pagan Rome. Augustus Caesar was Caesar Maximus. The dragon with 7 heads in Revelation 12 is pagan Rome. Revelation 12's 7-headed dragon blasphemes for 1260 days. Revelation 13's leopard 42 months. 1260 days is 42 months. The Bible uses a 30-day month. The powers are the same. That is, the red dragon of Revelation 12 and the leopard amalgam of Revelation 13 are the same persecuting power. This is not the first time that we have seen different symbols for the same kingdom. Recall, Daniel 2, Greece is depicted in Nebuchadnezzar's image as belly and thighs of brass. In Daniel 7, Greece is depicted as leopard with 4 wings, and in Daniel 8, Greece is the goat with the notable horn. A different beast is used Revelation 13, as opposed to chapter 12, because a tactical shift is being depicted. Paganism failed to obliterate God's work in man, the devil changes strategy. The devil joined the church. In the 3rd century AD, Satan inspired sun-worshipping Constantine to effect a nominal, fake, conversion to Christianity. By way of his Sunday law, Constantine created a yoke of paganism with Christianity. The Roman bishops capitalized on the union of pagan forms with professed Christianity. In 538 AD, Emperor Justinian I vacated Rome and gave it to the Pope. And the dragon gave him his power and seat and great authority. The papacy, that laid in the weeds for decades, is now thrust into prominence when Justinian gave it Rome, the most powerful city of the then known world. The papacy, a religious entity, is imbued with civil authority, making it a religio-political entity. It has now civil authority. The Lord uses a different beast, an amalgamated leopard, to denote this religious political shift. Before we dissect verse 3, let's read Revelation 13 verses 6 to 10.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Revelation 13 verse 3, one of the 7 heads was wounded to death, that is, it got a deadly wound. Verse 9 and 10 expands on verse 3. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, that is, he that captures must himself be captured. More on that later. In 323 AD, at the Council of Laodicea, the papacy made Constantine's Sunday law church doctrine, a day of rest, a Sabbath. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the papal beast. Contrary to popular belief, Sunday sacredness gives glory to Satan, the real author of the practice. The dragon, the devil, gave the beast, papal Rome, its power. Verse 5, There was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Verse 5 onward gives further evidence that Revelation 13's beast is the papacy. As stated before, 42 months is 1260 days, the prophetic day for a year principle shows that this is a period of 1260 years. At the end of this 1260-year period, Revelation 13 verse 10, the leopard-like beast is led into captivity. In 538, Justinian gave the papacy the city of Rome and shifted his seat to Constantinople. In 1798, under the guise of concern for a French citizen being murdered in Rome, Napoleon demanded that the Pope denounce his seat. When the Pope would not, Napoleon sent General Berthier to arrest Pope Pius. In 1798, 1260 years after Justinian I gave the papacy civil authority, Pope Pius VI was imprisoned in Valence, France. He died a year later. One of the beast's heads was wounded to death. For the first time in over 1,000 years, the papacy did not have a pope. The papal head was wounded to death. Revisit verse 3, his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. On March 14, 1800, a new pope, Chiaramonti, was elected. Chiaramonti took as his pontifical name Pius VII in honor of his immediate predecessor, Pius VI, the head wounded to death. Pius VII did not have the power of his predecessors. Verse 6, the beast opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name. Pope Pius X, who died in 1914, said of himself, the Pope represents Jesus Christ himself. This is in keeping with the papacy's long tradition of blasphemy. For example, in the 9th century, Pope Nicholas told Emperor Michael the Drunkard, the Pope, who is called God by Constantine, can never be bound or released by man, for God cannot be judged by man. And more recently, Pope John Paul II wrote that names like Holy Father are applicable to the Pope, even though calling him that is counter to the Gospel. Verse 7, John is shown the persecuting arm of this beast power. This prophecy, which is nearly identical with the description of the little horn of Daniel 7, unquestionably points to the papacy. The beast made war with saints and overcame them. Matthew 24 verse 9, the Lord told his disciples, Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. This prophecy is also fulfilled in this beast power. The papacy believed that they could consign a heretic to hell and felt completely justified in assigning papal anathema to Protestants, who didn't step in line with Catholic dogma. Indeed, within the 1260 years of papal supremacy, dissidents to Catholic dogma were deemed heretics, papal anathema was hence declared and heretics were worthy of death. The reformer Jan Hus was burnt at the stake. The historical record is replete of instances of Protestants who were burned at the stake. Charles Buck, A Theological Dictionary 1838, Professor James MacLean of the Department of French and Spanish at Memorial University of Newfoundland, history records that as many as 50 million were martyred in the period of the Dark Ages. Nevertheless, the Lord would not permit the light of his word to be extinguished. God raised up reformers the likes of John Calvin, Jan Hus, John Knox, Martin Luther, and Sola Scriptura, the Bible and the Bible only, became the rallying cry. Verse 8, unfortunately, most worshipped the beast. The Pope was deified. The Pope not only declared that he was God on earth, but adherents of Catholic doctrine deemed this to be true. Faith was transferred from Christ, the true foundation, to the Pope of Rome, the self-imposed vicar of Christ. Instead of trusting in the Son of God for forgiveness of sins and for eternal salvation, the people looked to the Pope, and to the priests and prelates to whom he delegated authority. They were taught that the Pope was their earthly mediator and that none could approach God except through him. Sadly, all those who refused the light that God shone by way of the Reformers worshipped this beast. His deadly wound has healed. Unto to this very day, the beast out of the sea is still worshipped. Between 1545 and 1563, the Council of Trent declared tradition to be in equal plane with Scripture. With the elevation of human laws and traditions was manifest the levels of spiritual corruption that naturally results from setting aside the law of God. The beast from the sea.